welcome to Club Fuck It Bucket. Today, I have one of my all-time favorite humans joining us, and I just can't wait because he is going to tell us about a time when he wanted to do something and the universe was like, absolutely not. This is not a good idea. People around him were like, you're crazy. And he was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing the thing. But he lives his whole life like this. So pretty exciting. If you know him, you will be jumping for joy. If you don't, by the end of this, you will be clamoring to know him. Tim Banks, please come on out and see us. I love you.
Hey, April.
I'm so excited. I'm way more excited than Tim is about this. So
I'm excited. I'm just understated. I don't, I'm not,
I know.
I'm not as,
This
I'm
is
not
why
as
we're like puzzle
animated.
pieces.
I know.
It's
It's
just great.
you're my joy translator, right?
That's I'm gonna have to put that in my headline now. I just updated my headline actually to put the Michael Jordan of brunch because that was a Cards Against Humanity clue that won the other night when I was having a LinkedIn pajama party.
I don't
So
know. That's kind of interesting because I feel like I am the Michael Jordan of brunch, right? I can.
ooh, maybe we'll have to brunch when I'm in Austin next
Oh,
month.
we will. And
It is on.
if you can eat more Belgian waffles and brisket tacos than I can, then we'll call you the Michael Jordan of brunch.
Actually, I think Athena probably will win that, which is kind of the
Yeah.
scariest part. Yeah, my 21-year-old can like pound some tacos. So y'all, if you are joining us today, like, comment, ask questions, make fun of us, laugh with us. There will be some snorts, I'm sure, because we always have a good time together. Tim, you do so many things. You're first of all, one of my all-time favorite humans. When we started working together at Duckbill Group, one of the things that like happened was I went through all these interviews and I was like, yeah, I love everybody. And then you were like the last hurdle I had to overcome. And I got on the call and I was like, oh my God, this is like my soul sister. What is going on? I have to work with this human. And then you were like, but do you eat chili with beans or no beans? And I answered wrong. And I was like, well, fuck, now I'm not even going to get the job.
It was close. It was very close. And it's, everyone has their standards. We insist on
But you
high
lowered your
standards.
standards for me. Is that what you're
I
saying?
took a chance. I took a chance. I rolled the dice against my better judgment, right? And it turned out well, right? Like
That
that's
was
what
a
this
fuck
is
it
about.
moment. That was a
Yeah.
fuck it moment for you where you're like, she doesn't really meet my standards, but fuck
Well,
it.
and it
I'm going
was
to go for
doubly
it.
so, right? Because the beans and the chili was a symptom of you being from Oklahoma, which was the actual
Oh,
problem,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
But
then I
then
was
you
like,
figured out I'm not actually an Oklahomie.
yeah, but it comes out that way, right?
Yeah. We're not
So,
giving the real answer. Y'all need to just pop in the comments. You eat your chili
oh,
with beans or no beans, and then
yeah,
we'll give
yeah.
the answer at the end.
Anybody who knows about chili knows what the answer is. And people that don't know about chili will say beans.
There you go. Tell us what's right. Chili with beans or no beans? And why is the answer always no beans?
Right.
Oh wait, I wore a shirt for you. Speaking of Texas and Oklahoma. Says the hell I
Nice.
won't,
I
but
love it.
it says Club Fuck It Bucket. They put a
That is not an
capital
L.
I
That is not an
there,
L
and
at
so
all.
it's not an L, it's a capital I, which is kind of hilarious. And I still don't know who sent it. So it's a mystery. If you sent the shirt to me, it's
I love
amazing, and
that.
I'm wearing it today.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim, tell us, like you have so many stories, and I want to hear them all. So we could sit here for ages, but we don't have that long. So walk us through, like, when was a time that you just said fuck it? Like, what led up to it? I feel like you've been a fucketeer your whole life.
I have, honestly, like starting from the get-go where everyone's like, hey, you should go to college. And I'm like, no, it's not for me. Right. And it's funny because it's like, all right, I'm in tech now. I'm a, principal level engineer, soon to be a higher level than that at another job yet to be disclosed. And it's,
That was a hint. That was a hint, y'all.
it was a hint. It was a hint. But the traditional method to get there, especially when I started in tech, in the, mid to late 90s was like, well, you got to go to college, you got to get a degree, and you got to do all this and all that. And I didn't do that. I was like, I joined the Marine Corps, right? And I joined the Marine Corps to be a musician, honestly, if we're being honest. I made the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps because I'm a band nerd at heart, right? And I was like,
Hence
cool.
the jacket.
Yeah. Well, no, this is a track jacket that one very lovely and beautiful human sent to me. April sent to me. So, but so I joined the Marine Corps to be in the Drum and Bugle Corps, and then I took my ASVAB test, which is a standardized test they give you in the military to see what you're good at, and I scored basically the highest score you could get. And they also determined that I was not, I don't get motion sickness, which I don't get motion sickness. It's like, well, perfect. Because we have these flying computer experts, people that are basically flight navigators, and they fix and do avionics stuff in the air for navigation equipment. And I'm like, all right, well, cool. We'll do that then.
I mean, it's no bugle, but I guess.
Yeah,
right?
I was a drummer, by the way, just so you know.
Of course you were. That's the hair, obviously.
And so it's like, yeah, I was like, all right, screw it, let's do that. And it was really cool. I learned about it. But that was like my foray into tech. Like I went to Marine Corps avionics school, and you learn to build computers literally starting from like, what is a resistor? What is a circuit? What is this voltage, stuff like that, all the way up to building radars out of a box of parts while wearing a gas mask. Like, it's just what you do, like you're learning how to count binary hexadecimal, like crusty old gunnery sergeants yelling in your face. And
what's a decibels? What?
Oh, binary hexadecimal.
Is that like a Kubernetes? Do you keep those in your Kubernetes clusters?
No, binary hexadecimal so hexadecimal is a numbering system, and so is binary, right? But computer memory is addressed hexadecimal, but you have to express it in binary, right?
Right. So I know why I don't understand, because I only speak non-binary.
Yes, it's the only binary system that I endorse, right? Stars and numbers, right?
Perfect. Okay, so you were hexadecimaling, and
and so like I did my stint in the Marine Corps, and I got out, and they're like, well, you can go into like the aviation field, which I didn't want to do. And they're like, well, you can go into computers. I'm like, well, I hear there's money in that. And then so I literally just like, okay, I'm going to go into computers, right? And then I started working as tech support, and because that's where you went to work if you didn't have a college degree. And I went from tech support to systems administration to systems architecture to to DevOps to SRE to principal SRE or lead SRE, and then here we are today, right? Grinding and hustling and grinding and hustling, literally doing everything they said you're not supposed to do. I moved, I changed jobs often because I was chasing the next biggest and best thing, in defiance of what typically the conventional wisdom of the day. I didn't care about the conventional wisdom, right? I'm like, all right, well, this seems right. And I didn't do anything off the cuff. Like I thought it out. Like, this is, you look at things for how they are and not how someone told you they are. Right. And
well, you're one of the most unconventional people I know, which is what I love about you. So that doesn't surprise me. But do you find that when you're looking at things unconventionally and you come out with an outcome that you expect, but other people don't, like, how is that received? Are you like the Wizard of Oz?
A lot of times you have to go back and explain how you got there. Right. And you're hoping that people follow along for the ride. And after a while, right, after you've done it for a while, you don't have to explain it.
Right. Anymore. They just believe you.
Yeah. And it's not well,
not no, you're me.
Well, it's like people will keep you honest though, right? And I still like this one because I don't want to be the keeper of all the keys and knowledge, right? Because I am more valuable when I empower other people than I am when I keep everything to myself. Like that whole notion of gatekeeping knowledge and being, the one to go to, that's an antiquated practice. I really don't like that. Right.
Right.
That's I would much rather make people around me better at what they do by giving them knowledge. Also kind of unconventional. Like it's much more conventional now, but at the time it was like, no, you have to be marketable. And if you be marketable, you got to hold on to it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Be like a dragon, like take all your knowledge and sit on it and eat people.
Like you talked about being the Michael Jordan of brunch, right? For me, that was always the difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? Michael Jordan was a great player, but he made everyone else around him great. Right. And that's what it's like. No, people can debate whether his records or whatever, but you cannot argue with how good he made. Adding Michael Jordan to the thing made everyone else around him better. And that's what I always wanted to be. I want to be the person that makes everyone else better. I don't have to be the star. I don't have to be the limelight. And very often I'm not. And that's okay, right? As long as you pay me, I don't care.
Coin operated, baby.
I am
Just
I
putting the
am
quarters
a
in.
high-priced hoe, and I'm very happy about that.
Tim, who's not the keeper of knowledge, but it does have the key to my heart, is a people ameliorator who has ascended fully into his hoe phase, which is fantastic. I mean, what more could you ask for?
I mean,
MJ
really,
is the goat. It's true. Tim Banks is the goat. TJ is the goat. So one of the ways actually that you do spread knowledge around is through various different social media platforms, specifically Twitter and YouTube, right?
Well, Twitter's a little YouTube, but mostly Twitter and Instagram, right? Okay. But Twitter, yeah, I'm most prolific on Twitter because I just, at this point, I use almost Twitter as live journaling my thoughts, right? And so and it's very interesting because it's this point of do I want to present this face on social media, which is very tiring to have to try and present a persona on social media. And I was like, no, I'm just going to be.
Just comes naturally to some of us, though.
Yeah, just going to be myself and then go. And then that's, I think, and it's made my enjoyment of using social media a lot better. And I feel like it's helped others out too, because I will be very upfront about my own shortcomings, especially my beliefs and my thoughts about various things. But instead of trying to put on this persona of everything's great and everything's good and like that, no, I talk about my struggles with mental health and my struggles with, being a parent, my struggles with being, a queer Black man in the United States, struggles and with this, but also praising people that I know and supporting and uplifting people that I know and giving kind of like an earnest view on what I feel like, hey, I think I see these are having this problem. This is what worked for me, and this doesn't work. This isn't what worked for me, right? But also not trying to, sit up there and mansplain.
Right, just take it, right? You can take it and take whatever you want from it, or you can discard whatever you want from it. But I'm just going to share.
Yeah, I'm going to share my experience, and then you can take it or leave it.
Right. So now, what's your Twitter handle?
It's Elchefe, ELCHEFE. And it's interesting because people ask where I got that from. Elchefe is.
I was going to ask you next because I know what this goes to, and I have questions about this too.
So in Spanish, El Jefe is the boss, right? Also in Portuguese, Chefe is also boss, right? But I got El Jefe because in between a couple of my stints in tech, I burned out and took about a 5-year break where I became a chef. I started off as a line cook and then worked my way up to executive chef in 3 years. And again, opened up a couple of restaurants. I worked with 2 restaurateurs in Norfolk, Virginia, almost the entire time, and I helped them open up and establish restaurants, right? But my mostly Latinx crew would call me El Chefe because they call you chef or jefe, and it just became easier for them to combine it into El Chefe. So
right, you're the boss chef.
Yep.
That's amazing. Okay, but so you've got this, I know we're at time, but I'm going to go over a couple minutes because I want to hear about this. I think it's so interesting. One of my favorite things about you is that you have this, you're like Batman or something. You have this engineer persona by day who you are, but then you become kind of a different person when you're on the mat doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
And so I want to just hear about that a little bit. How did you start doing jujitsu? And you can see all of the medals behind you, move that hair. which I love, is my favorite, out of the way. So you hold multiple international championships.
Yeah.
You mentor, you teach, you do all these things. How did you get into jujitsu, and what does it mean to you today? How's that changed?
So I got into jujitsu because as a young man, I watched UFC one, right? Which UFC one, Hoist Gracie won, right? And Hoist Gracie was at the time this little 170-pound, 6'1" Brazilian kid in a gi that was five sizes too big, going in and beating these gigantic, hulking, muscular, roided up, karate, MMA
Clouds.
wrestler
I
guys.
call them walking clouds
Oh
because
yeah,
they've
with
like
the
lost their
lats
neck.
they
Yeah.
can't put down. And he went in there and just choked them all out. Literally just, all right, you're big and strong. I'm just going to climb on your back and choke you. Like, and did that
Right.
over and over and over
You
again. I
can't
was like,
punch me
that's
if you
really
can't
cool.
breathe.
No. And I was like, this is so cool. And then, but this was in 1993 in Virginia. There was no place to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was not around any place where I could learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu until I moved to Austin in 2010. And then it was just like life and situations, by that time I was married, had kids. And so I finally started training Jiu-Jitsu 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago in 2 weeks.
Wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And
Okay.
but
Overachiever.
I started training jujitsu, and I barely holding on during the warm-ups when I first started. And then I went from doing that to training 2 or 3 times a day, every day, 6 days a week. For reasons that I'll explain a little bit later, but jiu-jitsu is one of those things where you don't have to be particularly athletically gifted. You just have to do it a lot, and you'll get good at it, right?
Okay.
Now, when you get competitive good, that's a little different. There's stuff that goes in it, but you can be good and competent at jiu-jitsu just by repetition. It's not like katas and karate where you can do it by yourself. You have to play against somebody else in jiu-jitsu, otherwise it doesn't work. And that's one of the things I like about it. So jiu-jitsu has a couple of things that we don't do very much anymore, like we should, right? So, humans are primates, right? We bond with each other by touch, right? So if you see like primates in the wild, doesn't matter who the primate is, any primate, they touch, they groom each other. They have their family unit, their cohort that when they get together, relax, they are making physical, intimate, platonic touching, right? We don't do that as a society anymore. We don't touch each other, right? So jiu-jitsu doesn't matter what your gender is. Like when you're getting there rolling the mat, you're rolling the mat. You are touching each other constantly, right? You are sweating in each other's faces. You're bending each other. You're choking each other. And you trust the person that you're rolling with that says, you could kill me, right? This move that you're doing right now will be fatal unless I tap on you. And I trust you that you're going to let it go. And then we're going to talk and have a good time, right? So you build such a rapport and such a trust with your team that kind of transcends whatever social things are like. There are people that I don't agree with politically. There are people that have all this kind of stuff like that. It doesn't matter when you're on the mat. We're all teammates. We're all brothers. People that I compete against routinely, same thing, right? And so what I really think is interesting is that aspect of jiu-jitsu combined with the very, like you have to be present all the time in jiu-jitsu. So like, and again, another thing that we don't have very much. When I bow onto the mat, I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about mortgage. I'm not thinking about
Ryan is
kids.
always about to get an SFW with me and Tim, just so you know. Like that's a running theme.
Yeah. And I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm just thinking about how to get this 300-pound man's knee off my belly, right?
Right.
Or how to do this thing. And it's very in the moment. And it's very all-encompassing of your mind and your thought processes, right? Now, I'm ADHD and I don't take medication for it because I'm so used to not taking meds for it. So jiu-jitsu is also a respite from that. It's the only time I ever single thread is while I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and it's fantastic. And so you have the mental rest aspect of it. You have the communal aspect of it. And then I also like it's an outlet to be kind of competitive, and not that I'm super competitive, and I kind of am, but I mostly compete against myself. And so that has led me to become really kind of pretty good at jiu-jitsu because I'm always driving myself to be better. If you beat me, that's great. I just want to know how you did it. Right. But I apply that to everything else I do.
Cool, right. Like what a cool way to go about life is to say, It's not about losing. It's about figuring out why I didn't win and then getting better
Yeah,
every single day.
one of the things that we say in jujitsu is it's like you go out there, you don't lose. You either win or you learn, right? You only lose by not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go out there and
What's
do it.
that saying? Like people always say like practice makes perfect, but actually it's practice makes progress, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
really what we want because there's no such thing as perfection.
And that's the thing, like real quick, like
Yeah.
the progress on jujitsu, like you get stripes and you get belts, stuff like that, but you never stop progressing. There's never a point like there's no, that's not true, right?
You don't finish.
You
Like
never
you don't do your last quest and like Link gets the princess and you're done with it. You're always
you will,
jujitsuing
as long as
better.
you keep doing it, you will keep improving at it
Yeah.
for the rest of your
That's
life.
amazing. That's amazing. I love that. All right. So everybody follow Tim on Twitter, Instagram, same handle on
It's
Instagram.
at El Chefe Negro on Instagram.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Close. Once you start typing it in, he's the
Yeah,
only El
yeah.
Chefe. And LinkedIn. Tim is an amazing resource. And there you go. No such thing as perfect. Always just progress. Everybody follow Tim, connect with him. I promise you, having Tim in your life will change your life. It has mine. Amazing. When I say people ameliorator, like that is what he is. And that just makes my heart so happy. So follow Tim, connect with him. If you would like to be a guest on Club Fuck It Bucket, slide into my DMs and we will see you on Friday with Andrew Hobdy at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time. Have a great rest of the week.
See you.